I don't know where to start with this shoe. Should I start off with the bounciness of it or how good it looks? This is not necessarily a fashion channel, but style points do matter for many runners out there out on the trails, myself included sometimes, especially when it comes to matching the socks. This colorway, especially of the new Salomon Aero Glide 4 gravel, got the hot pink accents, light blue accents on the lace gillies. Chef's kiss. And throw on some Courtney socks here. Wow, you're looking good out here on the trails, that's for sure. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get back to the shoes. Let's get back to performance. Let's get back to specs. We've got a full Opti-Foam squared ETPU beaded midsole underfoot here. It has some energy to it, let me tell you. Even as I mentioned earlier, the magic B word, bounce. Stack is listed at 41.33 8 mil drop. I did confirm an exact 41 millimeters at the heel from bottom of the foot to the surface of the ground, so right on target there. I've got these weighed in at 9.9 ounces, 280 grams in my size US 10 EU 44. Let's stop right there and talk about fit and sizing. I did size up from my previous Aero Glide models, the V3 gravel I had in the US 9.5, as I do have now in the Aero Glide 4 road model. Definitely noticing the difference in spaciousness, especially up front in the toe box compared to that V3 gravel version. I did an A/B test video with that shoe up against the Hoka Mafate X, so you can go back and take a look at that one. Check out my thoughts on the sizing. I felt the upper was not as secure as I wanted it to be, even at a half size down from this shoe, version 4 that I'm running in right now. I just found that shoe to be a touch loose in terms of foothold, and the fact that it's on top of this bouncy and energetic ETPU midsole just made it feel probably even more insecure. And at that half size down US 9.5, I also detected a little bit of pinky side rubbing. There was a little bit of taper up towards the front of that model. It was okay for a little while, but as I got along into my runs, I would notice a little bit of squeeze at the pinky side there. So it is difficult for me to exactly compare that prior model in terms of that taper at the front of the toe box, pinky side squeezing compared to this V4 because I'm half size up here. But based on how they feel inside the shoe, taking a look at the shape of it, it does seem like they eliminated at least a little bit of that taper. Again, it was very close in version 3, just barely getting me there. It seems to be more rounded at the front of the toe box, more of a straighter shape, probably ahead of the ball of the foot before you get towards the toes. So I would estimate that if you were to go with the same size, you'd probably have a little touch more space here in version 4 compared to V3 gravel. But returning to the important thing, foothold. Is it any better in this version 4? Check out my spring 2026 in for test video. I had this shoe in there and I expressed some reservations about the design of the upper, and based on my experience as well, having been walking around in this shoe for quite a few weeks while I was off of running duty. And now that I am back out here on the trails, I think my reservations are being expressed here in the fact that it does feel kind of loose up front. Again, I am a half size up here, but I talked about there only being 4 rows of laces in this shoe and kind of quite a big area ahead of the ball of the foot, which is really unable to be tensioned down. So in the front of the shoe, I just feel like my foot is it's not moving around too much, given that the trail's pretty smooth that I'm running on right now. I really don't want to get this shoe on tilt at any point, not just due to my running recovery here, but also due to the nature of the shoe itself and stability, which I'll talk about in a minute. You got 1, 2, 3, only 4 eyelets here. Most shoes typically have 5, some even, I believe North Face has 6, as well as some other brands, but you can see the lowest row here is pretty far up on my foot. There's like a big area right here, And with my non-high volume foot, I would probably say it's medium to normal volume, not overly narrow here. I am sized up by a half again here. A little bit of bunching in just this little kind of garage area. This is just a thin layer on top, not really a part of it, or at least it's on top of the rest of the upper. I find the space in there quite comfortable. I just think there should be, or I wish there would be, a little more adjustability here. I got this kind of dialed as much as I would want to squeeze it down, but there's just a big space up here that is really like nothing you can do to prevent your foot moving around in there unless you have a pretty high volume foot and you're like completely like filling up this area. Then you probably have better fit, but at least for me here, it's just a little bit of loose feel up front here. Now the hold around the midfoot is actually pretty good. I like that, despite the fact that there's really no over or underlays along the sides of the foot in this shoe. Take a look at that when I take a close-up up ahead. Also have to talk about this quickLACE Neo setup. I'm having trouble still getting that to work properly. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. You could see me as I'm trying to lace up and get out the door here. I pull them up, and then there was some kind of way where you had to pull it back down and it locks in. But when I pull them up initially, it's just not as tight around my ankle as I would normally lace my shoes. I'm not one to leave that top row really loose. I know some runners can do that, but not me. I like to have that top row really snug. When I pull that tab in this new Neo setup here, it's just, I can't, the tab is attached to that little fabricy section running down the center of the tongue, and then I just can't get it snug across the top of my foot unless I use my fingers and kind of pull the quickLACE through. So I don't know, let me know down in the comments if you've got this shoe and you somehow figured out how to work this, or for your foot shape or volume or whatever, it works perfectly. For me, it's, I don't know, just a little bit puzzling, can't figure it out. But once I do kind of manually set that toggle, I do get good lace hold across the top of my foot, around the upper ankle and heel. No heel slippage at all in this shoe. Again, up half a size. Heel hold is great. Midfoot hold is great. Upper foot hold is good. But it's just that lower toe box area of the shoe where I feel like I'm a little bit floating in there. Some thoughts here on how this V4 gravel upper compares to the V4 road upper. I was really hoping that they would take some of the elements, the foothold of that road upper. It does feel like a more substantial, more taut or more secure upper material. I believe there's even some underlays on the inside of that shoe, and incorporate that into the gravel version. And that's not really the case here. They went a little bit looser here, not just in terms of the shape of the upper, talking about the material itself, the lack of underlays, overlays. Just feels a little bit more flexy. You've got that kind of semi-stretchy vamp area down the middle of the shoe, and again, only 4 lace rows for foothold. It just feels a little bit more comfort oriented than I was hoping for. Now, they do have a gravel concept model out, so hoping to get my feet into that one for a comparison. There is a plate in that one. That should stabilize at least the foam aspect underfoot. But I'm wondering if they also did something different with the upper to kind of get some more secure foot wrapping there. Just not feeling it here in this model. And again, with the midsole being even looser underfoot without a plate or anything like that in the mix, it's just very bouncy and not totally dialed around the foot. But boy, is it bouncy. I don't know if you had the chance to try on one of these shoes, one of these Salomon shoes with this energy foam / opti foam squared ETPU midsoles yet. It is, wow, something to feel underfoot. This is probably one of the most bouncy midsoles out there. You could almost feel these beads underfoot just bouncing off the ground. Pretty wild feel here. Very soft here, but not that sink-in feel of super plush EVA types. Definitely feel the rebound off the ground, but perhaps not a super fast rebound. compared to, say, something with a plate in it. More of a, let's say, less reactive bounce, if you want to call it that. Very flexible shoe underfoot. Look at the flex in that shoe. Exactly the same as the Aero Glide 3 gravel. I did find that the road version of this shoe, version 4 here, it seemed to not flex as easily as this model. It's probably something to do with the upper. I don't know if they did anything different internally, maybe the Strobel board or something, but it seems to have a little bit less easy flex to it, the road model. This one, twist and turn everywhere. You can see that Conta-Grip outsole, same as V3, contouring over everything. This is kind of the bike tire design you see here, and it just kind of rolls, contours, stretches over everything, and allows those 2.5 mil lugs to grip underfoot. Coming back to the upper here, this is an outer material. Gusseted tongue here, not a lined upper. This is a single material mesh around here. There's no outer lays here. There's also nothing inside here. No underlays in here. It's just this material itself, so you don't really have like a web or anything kind of securing around your foot. Just got these 4 lace rows here, and the tension you can get out of these, there's some kind of structure around the eyelets, of course, just to stabilize them, but nothing that really connects below here on either this lateral side here or this medial side. So in that regard, I feel like that's something that allows the foot to kind of feel a little bit looser on top of this midsole. And again, with it being so bouncy and so super soft here, look at those beads. The combination of that, the lack of the overlays, underlays, anything like that, the flexibility of the shoe underfoot, it just feels like you're constantly like having that little bit of wobble on the ground. Certainly bounce, but on contact, you want to make sure you're landing on something stable, or at least you have the ability to control this shoe, because there is going to be some wobble to it. And again, you're going to have less kind of feel of the ground underneath it between the midsole itself and the upper having a little bit of give to it once you land. Breathability seems to be quite marginal here. I don't see too much, if any, ventilation areas in here. Even the front through here, I believe this upper goes beneath there. Can't really tell. I could almost feel it, but it's not more open over here, so it's not the most breathable shoe out there. Tongue height is very good though. It is kind of this perforated mesh here, so you should get some airflow through there. Taking a look inside, they did get rid of the Ortholite insole, which I like. Kind of cool design here, but it's not Ortholite. It doesn't seem like a regular EVA. It doesn't seem like a highly energetic, super critical one. Maybe it's a EVA olefin, something like their previous midsoles. It seems to be something in between a regular EVA and like a highly energetic, super critical one here though, but better than Ortholite, that's for sure. Quick look around the rest of the upper here. Ankle height is good. I don't have any ankle bite anywhere around this shoe. Heel collar, nice as well. Pretty standard padding in here, nothing to speak about, no issues. It's kind of, I would say, not overly voluminous, not narrow either. I'm kind of well held with a touch of room in there. So if you have a bigger heel, you should have no problems with this either. Heel counter, same medium. In terms of firmness, this does come up a little bit high, but again, it's quite soft, so you shouldn't have any issues with irritation around the Achilles. Looking at the sides of the counter here, kind of mid-level here, not overly stiff. A little bit of sidewall action here. This midsole does kind of flare up around the sides of the heel. I guess the intention is to give it a little bit of control, have your foot sitting in the shoe a bit, but I think the bounciness of the midsole overrides any kind of stability you're gonna get from these wings here. But who knows, maybe without them it could be like really like wild underfoot. Now, I'm not planning to take this shoe into any type of technical terrain. Go back and check out my Gravel 3 versus Mafate X video. I took it through a few small sections there and kind of talked through what I thought about that. It's going to depend on your skill level here. I'm kind of managing my footsteps here for 2 reasons. A, because of the shoe, and perhaps say 1A, because I'm just coming back from my injury. taking some of these little step downs a little gingerly. Don't want to slam down on my leg just yet, and also don't want to get into a bad twist and turn with this shoe underfoot here and maybe have to catch myself with one or the other of my legs. So as far as the shoe itself, certainly this kind of bounce is controllable, but you're gonna have to be very attuned to it underfoot. It's not a shoe that you could just kind of hop into if you're used to running in, say, firmer rides or maybe more stable midsoles, and then just start whipping into all kinds of technical terrain in this one. Not gonna be super fun, I would imagine. But if you are aware about them and at least can work with that bounciness, maybe take it a little easier on some of those uneven parts, it can definitely be fun to run in, for sure. Having a lot of fun in this shoe. That bouncy feel underfoot is absolutely a blast to run in. I feel fun when I'm running in this shoe in light and maybe up to slightly moderate terrain. It's gonna soak up that gravel, uneven kind of loose rock surfaces underfoot, even the sandy stuff that I'm running in here right now. Those 2.5 mil lugs, not widely spaced. Obviously, that's another aspect that you want to consider where you're taking these shoes. Don't have a lot of lug bite here. Even at 2.5 millimeters, they're tightly spaced along the outside there, so you cannot count on a lot of grip or traction and loose stuff. But if you do find yourself on some nice early evening rolling trails such as these you see in front of you now, super fun shoe to run in, super comfortable also. I do like that they went with an 8 mil drop here with the softness, bounciness of it, the compression of it. In fact, I'm not trying to go down super steep descents in this shoe. Maybe on a kind of smooth dirt road, that would be fun. But the 8 mil drop is a good call because as that compresses, if you do want to get into some light, moderate, or heavy heel mashing, it does give you that support under the heel. Doesn't feel like it's bottoming out under you. As I am on a slight downgrade here, lighter compression in the heel makes it ride like a nice and comfy 5 or 6 mil drop, I'd say. Having that extra 8 to kind of lean into. Again, no sense of bottoming out underfoot here. Neutral feel, neutral contour under the arch here. I don't think anybody will have any issues with pressure under the middle of the shoe, especially with this midsole here. You're hitting the ground and it's, again, contouring and flexing underneath your foot. It doesn't really give it a chance for any firmness to kind of push up in the middle there, so no problems. On the run, I would say, in terms of underfoot feel, it does feel very soft. It does feel almost like, not like you're running in Crocs, but like your foot is really moving and there's a sensation of like varying pressure under the foot. Again, the midsole so bouncy, no elements inside there to stabilize it in any way. I do feel like it's perhaps making my feet do a little bit of work. The midsole wants to bounce, it wants to flex, it wants to contour, but all the small muscles of your feet don't necessarily want to do that all at once. So perhaps a little extra work is having to be done by your feet muscles just to kind of keep things in order, send the right signals up to your brain so you can stay upright. So where does this Aero Glide 4 gravel land for me? I think I want to put it in context of a shoe that I've been recently running in. Just reviewed the Altamesa 300 V2 from the North Face. I'd like to do, if you can't tell already, a lot of my review stuff in the context of other shoes. So these shoes are both in the same kind of realm. You have a definite wide fit as well with the 300 V2, similar to this one, but I think you get more foothold in that one. I talked about toe splay in that video. I am wearing these Injinji Courtney socks here with the Gravel 4, so certainly having a similar level of toe splay here. Although I think the overall hold of that North Face shoe, the upper has those straps in the middle, bit of underlays involved, kind of web wrapping around the foot. That's something I looked at specifically with this V4 gravel here as not being there, having just run in that 300. So I feel like I'm kind of more attached to that shoe. You've got a ultralight EVA with that one, beaded ETPU here, and definite advantage in energy and bounce with this Salomon shoe here. Both shoes are kind of fun, but in their own way. The Salomon here, the bounciness of it gives it that fun factor. Just feels good underfoot. Feels like you're really like trampolining off the ground. It's really fun, really great. Not the most stable, again, as I've talked about, but as I'm running right now, feels super fun. The 300 V2, on the other hand, EVA is still a little bit energetic, but doesn't have the bounce to this one. It has more of that kind of soft, slightly energetic comfort level to it. And with the added foothold, I feel like I could get into more moderate terrain for sure in that shoe. And again, having that more secure feel around the foot, I feel like I could have more fun with the terrain itself, not just the feel of the bounce underfoot that you have here with the gravel shoe. So as with most things in life, it all comes back to choice. I will say, if you choose or prefer to choose bounciness, this gravel 4, good option. And with summer on the way as well, if you want a shoe that looks really good, double duty for casual usage out on the town, yeah, you can't go wrong here with this Salomon shoe. Maybe throw in some tie-dye Courtney socks too. Thank you for tuning in to Humble Running once again. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the website, www.humblerunning.com. I've also got that link down below in the description to thefeed.com. Save yourself 10% on every order and support the channel as well. And as usual, if you do find my reviews helpful, I do have affiliate links for your purchases down below for the products I'm reviewing, kit and gear that I'm wearing. I always list in the description, so if something catches your eye and you're gonna pop for it anyway, help out, support the channel, support Humble Running. Just use my links in the description. It won't cost you anything additional, and of course it will help support me out on the run here. Thank you for tuning in once again. See you next time out on the trails.